Good evening, everybody. Matrix here, and here is a trade recap and a playbook that I've recorded showing you how I short an IPO on day one, a broken IPO, Peloton. Now, before we go into the trades, I just want to mention real quick, a lot of people say that you can't short IPOs on day one, and that is simply not true. In the link description below, I will provide the broker that I use that always has shares to short IPOs. Aside from that, I hear that Peloton, PTON, it was actually easy to borrow today, and a lot of other brokers have borrows for this IPO. So with that said, it's simply not true that you can't short IPOs. So with that out of the way, I want to address issue number two. Some people say that there is no edge in trading an IPO. Now, I personally don't think about it that way. I found an edge today on trading this IPO. Some people say they don't trade IPO because they're not familiar with it, or the IPO is too choppy and the IPO doesn't have fundamental or technical levels to it. And I want to address that real quick and tell you that it's simply not true. I mean, there are some key levels that you can work off of, and you can definitely develop a thesis in IPO, especially on day one. So let's get right into it. Let's bring out the notes real quick here. So this is shorting a broken IPO on day one Peloton. Okay, as you can see, here is the big picture notes. Okay, I'm not going to read these notes one by one. I'm going to pause real quick and pause the recording real quick, and I suggest you guys pause this as well and read over it. Here is the big picture, the intraday fundamentals of Peloton, what the company is, that they offered 40 million shares, and the initial public offering price, the technical analysis of the chart, as well as the thesis. Okay, so this is the important part, the thesis of why I shorted this IPO today, and a part of the playbook. So I'm going to pause this real quick. Okay, so coming back, here are the trades. So basically, my idea on shorting this IPO was before this thing even opened up, I was already reading the news, and they were saying that the main underwriters, JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs, they priced it at 29 bucks. Okay, so my theory is if the IPO opens under the IPO price, that in itself is weakness. That's a big disappointment. And it also tells me that there's not enough demand on the street that people want to buy this thing. Okay, so initially with that, if the price opens under the initial projected price, then it's a short for me, and that tells me the stock is weak. With that said, we got an opening print. Now, some technical levels that we have developed is on every IPO would be the opening print here, and that would be 27.25 that I've marked off in the blue line. I got this from the first candle open. Okay, it's actually 27.17, but it topped out at 27.25 here. Okay, and then the next level we have a technical level with the IPO. That would be the first minute of the lows, or the lows of the IPO. So that was during the open, it was at 26.25. Obviously, $29 is a key level as well. Okay, now during the open, we don't know where it's going to go to the highs yet, and we don't know the bottom yet, obviously. So right at the open, knowing that it opened underneath the initial IPO price, I wanted to short it. So I waited 1 minute. It was very weak. And then as it was coming back up and bouncing right over here, it got stuffed right at this 26.75. And once I saw that, and I saw weakness on the tape, I got short one tier starter size, because I was thinking this was kind of like a consolidation for the first candle, and I was looking for it to roll over. So I got short here on the second minute at this price point, 26.47 or 48. I want to make a note here. All these arrows, they're pointing to the exact price point on where I entered the stock, or where my stock, my trade got executed. So shorted one tier right here. It didn't roll over, but this candle, this next candle opened up, and then it basically came up to the highs here at the opening print and got stuffed right back down. And once I saw this, I'm like, okay, this is weakness. And I shorted it some more, add another tier. And my stop out was a little bit above this opening print right here. Okay, you know what? I want to change this to a purple color. Let's do that. With that said, as the stock was trickling up, I basically stopped out, and from then I started to think, as I was watching this ride up, I started to think, okay, maybe I got in a little bit too early. Maybe the market wants the stock to go back up to the 29 level, so I reversed quickly and I longed it. So I stopped out right here and I longed 2 tiers. And as it was coming up, I saw this breakout, right? So it tested the breakout of the opening print, came up, and then this one tested again, came up, paid myself half a tier only because I was thinking 29. And I should have, in hindsight, obviously, I should have took off more, but only took off half a tier. So as it was coming down, this thing tested, and right here, this red candle came down and tested the level and closed above, and then the next candle opened up. I added right here, and I was still risking this opening print price. Okay, so I added, I was thinking 29, it's about to make another leg up, and obviously you see the next 2 candles, I was wrong and I got stopped out. So that's 2 trades. I'm now underwater, and I am negative on the day. As it came down, it failed VWAP. It came down under this 27.25 again, okay, and it snapped down under the whole number of 27 as well. So I noticed the whole number of 27, which is right here. Now, it doesn't mean it's a technical level, but I believe if I search on the news, they would say that Peloton opened up at $27. So that in itself, it makes it a level. And basically, this is when I'm thinking, okay, as long as it stays under this 27 to 27.25, I'm okay for the short. However, I mean, as you can see, I shorted 4 tiers right here, and I was basically tilted. Okay, I was emotionally riled. I took 2 losing trades, and I was very determined to get this right. So I hammered it in. As it came down, it held support again, and then on this green candle, when it opened higher than the previous low, right at support, I was thinking, okay, higher low. It's not failing just yet. I better cover some to alleviate my risk and pay myself. So I did that, came back up. I almost stopped out here, but once I saw this candle getting stuffed right back down, I held through, and lo and behold, it came right back down under this resistance zone. So now it was forming lower highs. Okay. Now, as it formed lower highs, I held through. As it came down right here, I noticed it refused to fail this 2660 here. So I covered another tier. Now I'm holding 2 tiers left. As it came back up, I saw a quick double top right into the resistance area. And now we have identified also the support zone. So this is where the true thesis manifests itself. Let me get this out real quick. Now I'm thinking, okay, now I've identified the support zone and the resistance zone, and we have now ourselves the range. Okay, so I covered another tier here. Moving forward, quick double top. It looked weak to me. I added back the 2 tiers, came down, breakthrough, held through because I would not stop out until the stock actually stayed above this area. So it got stuffed again, and I paid myself into the support 1 tier. So now I'm holding, I believe, 4, 3, 2, 4, 3. Right? Yeah. So I'm holding 3 tiers here. Came back up, failed again. I covered 1 tier as it came back into the support area. So drag this along. And from here, I was actually sitting pretty solid. I was basically got back what I lost already from the first two trades. I saw that it's making lower highs, bouncing off this support area like a bouncing ball. And the thesis kind of came to fruition. I noticed that every time it popped, came right back down, got stuffed hard, popped, unable to go higher. It would leak through above VWAP, which is this green line, but it got stuffed. So on this next pop, I'm thinking, okay, as long as it stays under and the stock's looking weak, I'm going to short it. And while I wait for this to break down the support area, I'm going to short up here, pay myself down here, short up here, pay myself down here, short up, pay down. And that was going to be, I was going to do that for a little while until this thing breaks down. And I wrote that out on Twitter as well. So I added 3 tiers. As it came down, I covered 3 tiers. And by this time, I'm already profitable. And then I went to lunch. What can I say? I went to lunch because I was tired of waiting for it to break. And eventually during lunch, it snapped. After the snap here, this is the area where I should have added. Or even, actually, I wouldn't say I would have added here. As this snapped, this whole $1.26, this is a key area as well. So, I mean, in hindsight, what could I have done better? The plan was to see it snap under and stay under this prior support area and get short as it retested. So the true add would be here at 235, in my opinion, when it actually snapped 26 level as well. It was tricky as it was coming down because it kept coming down and bouncing back up. It was like a wake-off spring every single time it tested. So I wanted to make sure, and if I were to be still here in front of my computer, I would have shorted right here for sure. And the next level was to follow my thesis and bring it all the way down to 25. By the time I got home, I covered here, 1 tier at 25, failed again, covered a little bit more because I saw that it held 25. It held this 25 level. So I'm like, okay, I got to pay myself a ton here since it's holding a key psychological whole number. And eventually we're coming into the close. So I'm like, okay, do I want to hold this overnight and risk it? Or do I want to re-engage it tomorrow? So I took the option of re-engaging it, and this is where I got flat. Now, the reason why I got flat here is not just because I want to do this for tomorrow. It's basically saving my butt. I want to bring up SDC, Smile Direct Club, okay? And Smile Direct Club here is a recent IPO as well. If I go to the daily chart, this is the first day and this is the second day. If I go to the 30-minute chart, let's get some data here real quick for you. Okay, here we have the first day. It was very weak. And the next day, it basically popped, right? So had I decided to hold this final little bit, it could tomorrow very well pop right back up. So I didn't want to risk that. And basically, I just flatted out. So that was my trade on PTON Peloton. I hope you guys enjoyed what you watch. If you have any questions or feedback for me about this trade, make sure you write that in the comments below. And make sure you hit the like button and subscribe. And I'll see you guys all bright and early tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Ciao.